Good morning, good morning. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
They switched mics on me.
They did.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. It has been a harrowing morning. It's raining, and Los Angelinos don't know how to drive in the rain.
Yes, California goes like into a crazy panic when water falls from
People
the
drive
sky.
too fast, and they follow too closely, and so there were a couple of accidents on the way on the little short drive we have to the radio station. So, on that happy note, I actually am super excited because we have our first guest on the line today, Thomas Ricks. He has the Long March column for the Task and Purpose and is the military history columnist for the New York Times Book Review, a former advisor on national security at the New America Foundation. He was previously a fellow at the Center for a New American Security and a contributing editor of Foreign Policy magazine, which I really like, for which he wrote a prize-winning blog, The Best Defense. A member of 2 Pulitzer Prize-winning teams, he covered the U.S. military activities in Somalia, Haiti, Korea, Bosnia, Kosovo, Macedonia, Kuwait, Turkey, Afghanistan, and Iraq. He is the author of several books, including The Generals, The Gamble, and the #1 New York Times bestseller, Fiasco, which was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. He has a best-selling best-selling book called Churchill and Orwell, The Fight for Freedom, and it is now in paperback. So excited to welcome you to the show, Thomas Ricks.
Thank you for having me. By the way, that Creedence Clearwater Revival intro, I knew somebody when I was a kid who thought the song says, "There's a bathroom on the right."
Well, he is a little muddy mouth, so that's awesome. So tell us about, the reviews for this book are outstanding, and let me just read a couple. An elegantly written celebration of 2 men who faced an existential crisis to their way of life with moral courage and demonstrated that an individual can make a difference. And that was from the San Francisco Chronicle. And readers of this book will realize if they needed reminding that the struggle to preserve and tell the truth is a very long game. That's from the Los Angeles Times. And Churchill and Orwell, I would never think of putting those two together.
They're not similar people. They're very different people. Churchill is a extrovert. He's an imperialist. He's a conservative. He's a public man. He is a gourmand. He drinks very heavily. Orwell is a socialist, kind of introvert, a very minor figure all his life, really pays no attention to his personal health or anything like that. The similarity, though, is one big one. In the 1930s, a time kind of like today when people weren't sure what truth was and where politics were going. In the 1930s, these 2 guys, one from the left, one from the right, said time out, that democracy is not dead. There are such things as true facts. There are ways of figuring them out. And the way to do it is to protect human rights, the basic Bill of Rights, right? Freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of thought. And that you can say, I as an individual have come to this conclusion and the state can't change my mind. One from the left, one from the right. But it's important to remember this was not popular at the time. Churchill was on the outs with the conservatives in Britain. The Conservative Party wanted to appease the Nazis. That was official foreign policy with the Conservative Party in power. And Churchill was more or less kicked out of the party for that. Orwell, similarly, was a socialist, but strongly anti-communist. And for that, he got in a lot of trouble with the left. So they both, the message would be, these guys both saw the right way to go in the 1930s, but a warning here, it was not the popular way to go.
So I think I had never thought about it that way, and there's so much about the United States and, frankly, the world today that reminds me of what we've learned about the 1930s. I've just recently finished watching this show on Netflix called Babylon Berlin, which really shows what it was like in the Weimar Republic in Germany.
Yeah, my wife watched that, loved it.
Oh, it's fantastic. And so what was the because it was kind of chaotic, it was chaotic in Germany at the time. Can you talk about what it was like in the UK?
Sure. A lot of people thought capitalism was washed up, and that meant democracy was washed up. That there really only were 2 alternatives out there, fascism/Nazism or communism. and that you had to pick one or the other. And that's pretty much where the British government was in the 1930s. When the British national soccer team goes to Berlin in 1938 to play the German team, they play them in the Olympic Stadium. And at the request of the British government, they give the Heil Hitler salute. And the game begins. The British did.
Oh, my goodness.
After the Munich Agreement, in which basically England and France said, okay, Germany can take Czechoslovakia and take it apart. Some towns in England flew the swastika flag in celebration. Churchill comes along and says, not only no, but hell no. That's not the way to go. And this is not a popular position. Even after he became prime minister in May of 1940, a lot of people thought he wouldn't last long. He was an interim figure. Even then, Lord Halifax, his own foreign minister, wanted to discuss a peace settlement with the Nazis. And the recent movie, Darkest Hour, brought this out very well.
Oh, that's such a good movie. It's really excellent.
It is. And I think Gary Oldman was terrific in it. But basically, the deal would have been, in the summer of 1940, the British would have said, okay, Germany can have Europe, and we get to keep the British Empire. And it would have been a very smart move by Hitler, because it would have kept America out of the war. And then he could have built up all of Europe and into a military power, and eventually he would have attacked the United States. He actually had a bomber being designed called the America Bomber, and they probably would have gotten nuclear weapons, too. Hitler was on a roll, and really the one thing stopping him in May and June of 1940 was Winston Churchill, who kind of in this amazing performance rallies England, gets the political powers to start getting behind him, and they stave off a German invasion. It's interesting to me. One reason I love Churchill and Orwell is because they're such flawed people. They're really both failures most of their lives, as most of us are most of the time, in trying to be who we want to be. Churchill failed most of his life in most things, but he had one great year, 1940.
And
if
thank
you're going to have
God.
one good year in your life,
Yes.
saving Western civilization is a good way to go.
Wow. So we are about out of time, and I could talk to you for 3 hours. This is absolutely fascinating. How do people get your book, and where do they find you and follow you on social media?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at TomRicks1. You can follow my column, The Long March, at the website Task and Purpose, which is for military and veterans, so open to anybody. And you can buy my book on Amazon or at any good bookstore.
So we have about 30 seconds, but I want to ask you very quickly what the parallels are today, because I think that this book is important because we see some of the same things happening.
I think you're right. I think the key is pay attention to the truth, pay attention to people who actually produce evidence, and remember the Bill of Rights, that freedom begins with the individual with the right to speak, the right to think, the right to assemble. Anybody who is against those things is acting in an un-American way.
Well, Thomas Ricks, thank you so much for writing this book and for joining us today.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. So with that, it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA.
This segment of programming sponsored by Cybertime Network Communications. How's your internet? Slower than what you were paying for? Feeling boxed in with the high cost of the internet? It can be frustrating and expensive, and with net neutrality coming, it's not getting any easier. Ready for a better high-speed internet service? Then you're ready for Cybertime. And they're local and right in your own backyard. Cybertime provides connectivity for all our transmissions you're listening to at KCAA. Cybertime is locally owned and will respond to your needs with the best service. It's crisp, cool, fast, and sleek. Cybertime uses the latest, leading-edge microwave technology to be able to offer clients a safe, reliable, public or private network that fits almost any budget size. Numerous local city agencies rely on Cybertime's microwave private network for their most critical mission applications. You should too. Get connected, stay connected, get smart, get Cybertime. You can Google, text, or call Cybertime Network Communications at 909-795-9559. Cybertime Network Communications in Calamasa.
For several days, you've been craving a juicy, tender steak. So it's time to satisfy that craving at Tony's Spunky Steer Restaurant. Tony's is located in the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands. At Tony's, you'll have top-notch service and feast on some of the best-tasting prime sizzler steaks in the Inland Empire. The Tri-City Center is located just off I-10 between Alabama and the Tennessee exits in Redlands. Make Tony's Spunky Steer your dining destination for that special occasion. Or if you just want a great steak.
Locals in Loma Linda and Redlands all know and love the Family Homestyle Cafe, the home of the world's largest pancakes and the delicious mouth-watering food cooked up daily by their well-trained chefs. Sizzling thick-cut bacon, ham, and hand-pressed sausage. They take pride in the best quality, great economical values, with better portions served up with the pride of local ownership and great service. Near the corner of Anderson and Redlands Boulevard in Loma Linda, if you haven't tried out Chef Mark's Delights, you haven't had some of the best food in the area. And now, Chef Mark is upgrading his cafe and offering space for on-site gatherings, luncheons, and parties. Add a DJ for a great holiday party or luncheon, and you've got a no-fuss event with all the bells and whistles. Call Mark today at 909-478-9996. That's 909-478-9996. Or stop by the Homestyle Cafe in Loma Linda at Anderson and Redlands Boulevard.
Know your rights and responsibilities. You're a hardworking student. You've grown up here. You're striving and working towards the American dream. You're a dreamer and maybe you need to renew your DACA deferral. Now is the time to take action. On January 9th, the District Court ordered a halt to President Trump's efforts to terminate the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA. And now the Department of Homeland Security is now accepting DACA renewal applications. Now you can get free DACA renewal assistance from the TODEC Legal Center. The TODEC Center may also provide you with payment assistance with up to $495 in immigration fees to renew. Stay here, stay home, stay with your family. You're valued, loved, wanted, and needed. Get free legal screening and consultation, application assistance, and legal representation. For more info, search todec.org. That's TODEC.org. Or call for upcoming workshops at 951-943-1955. That's 951-943-1955 for the TODEC Legal Center. And dream on.
For more local radio every day, tune into KCAA Loma Linda.
It's getting to the point where I'm no fun anymore. I am sorry. Sometimes it hurts so badly I must cry out loud. I am lonely. I am yours. You are mine. You are what you are. You make it hard. Remember what we've said and done and felt about each other. Oh, babe, have mercy.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050 FM 106.5 and FM 102.3. And so, we teased this yesterday, but Mossad has come up with proof and like hundreds of pages of proof that that Iran is not, that they lied, that they're not following their own agreement, and they're doing this in secret. Now the European leaders are pushing back, but I want to talk about the release from the Times of Israel. So in a brief, devastating presentation at the Tel Aviv Defense Ministry headquarters, Netanyahu unveiled what he described as one of Israel's intelligence's greatest ever achievement, getting its hands on Iran's own archived nuclear weapons program paperwork, 55,000 pages and another 55,000 files on 183 CDs. That archive faithfully records the progress of Iran's comprehensive program to build nuclear weapons named Project Ahmad, he noted, speaking in English with maximal international resonance. And by obtaining that material, he declared Israel would now incontrovertibly demonstrate that Iran's leaders have brazenly lied to the world, and that the 2015 accord is founded on an Iranian deception, which only people who were deluding themselves. Speaking of Neville Chamberlain, only people who were deluding themselves would thought that Iran was actually going to abide by the agreement. And frankly, I got to believe that with giving all the money up front, it seems to me that the administration at the time also believed that.
Yeah, well, and they gave away whatever leverage we had, right?
Yes.
In terms of giving the money back. And this freed up, of course, all that money freed them up to go back to a lot of their evil activities, the activities that we had condemned them for decades, right? So all that money is being now shuffled off to terrorist organizations.
Yeah, it's Hezbollah. It's terrorist organizations throughout the region.
Yeah.
Hezbollah, of course, is in Lebanon. So watching the Prime Minister's presentation in a TV studio, the former head of military intelligence in the Israeli army, Amos Yadlin, called the material conclusive proof of Tehran's duplicity, vindication of Israel's consistent claim that Iran had a nuclear weapons program, continued to work on it in recent years, and duped the world about it. The captured archive material contains no smoking gun since 2015, Yadlin observed, but because the most recent material presumably hasn't been archived yet, however, Iran now demonstrably lied to the world in 2015, and Yadlin added dryly, it's presumably continued to lie since then as well. So, you've caught the liar in a lie. Are you going to believe that that was his only lie, or that was their only lie?
Yeah.
No, of course not.
Well, just the methods by which they're operating, it's clear that this was a well thought out sort of conspiracy for how to evade the rules of this agreement.
But it's like the West, and this has always driven me crazy, the West saying that than Ahmadinejad was. Baloney.
Yeah.
The Ayatollah is still in charge. You think he's going to put a moderate to lead Iran? No.
Yeah.
No. Rouhani is just as militant as the rest of them.
We have a word for what Rouhani is. Puppet.
Yeah, it's crucially shared by the U.S. President Donald Trump, who has to decide in less than 2 weeks whether to withdraw from the accord. The Prime Minister was notably nonspecific regarding what action he thinks the U.S. and other P5+1 countries should take, as in, should they fix it or should they nix it? He simply said that he was certain Trump would do the right thing, and the right thing for the United States, the right thing for Israel, and the right thing for the peace of the world.
Yeah, this is, even more so, I think, than what's going on in Korea right now. This one is actually, I think, a more lethal threat, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the volatility of the Middle East and the ability of them to shuffle some of these monies and supplies off to even more unstable people, right? At least in North Korea, they're essentially contained, and their only major ally is China, and China doesn't want any part of that crazy. So, it's a little different situation, but Iran has got lots of ways of sort of hiding the ball, and we have got to work very constructively with the other nations of the world to contain that. And my concern is that the rest of the what do they call them, the P5+1 powers are not there yet, right? They still seem very much in denial and wanting to just sort of, can't we all just get along, kumbaya?
So, and you're starting to see a Sunni movement with Israel in opposition of the Shia threat from Iran.
Yeah. Because
the Saudis are afraid of Iran, just like any other sane country.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Saudi Arabia is perfect. Please don't take that. That's not what I mean. But the prince has, the Saudi crown prince has. Even said to the Palestinians, y'all need to put up or shut up. It's time to fish or cut bait. Either you get serious about peace or quit your whining, which after 70 years, it's about time somebody said that.
Yeah.
How long can you be a refugee? I'm just saying. Where's the Palestinian Authority? And later, they're led by Hamas. First you have the PLO, then it's the Palestinian Authority, and they've kept their own people down. They really have.
They have. And I think that, ultimately, these issues are regional issues that need to be decided by the people in the region. Unfortunately, there is no balance of power. There is no one group or group of like-minded people that can come together to solve it. So it takes a great power like the United States to engage and sort of force the issue. And unfortunately, during the Obama era, they kind of said, well, we're just going to leave it to you guys. And we saw what happened, right?
Yep.
The Middle East is burning.
It is.
Because we withdrew. we pulled back, and this is a part of that. And so, I hope that President Trump really engages. And if you look at who he's got in there right now in his foreign policy group, he's sending a message of we will act.
Yeah, Bolton is not afraid.
No, these are not the shrinking violets of the Obama administration, and so it's going to be a very interesting sort of couple of months here now that Netanyahu has sort of outed this.
So, and I want to be clear, Tobin and I, and I don't even think Bolton is more hawkish than a lot,
Yeah.
but I don't think he wants to take the country to war. I don't think that he's not. He will do what has to be done, but I don't think he's itching to take the country to a war.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch how Trump is conducting his foreign policy. He's burning through a lot of people, and it's going to be fascinating to see sort of what happens, because he sends a lot of contradictory messages. But at the end of the day, you definitely have a feeling that this guy that Trump, our president, could snap and do something crazy. And, I think that's enough to at least bring these folks back to the table.
So European leaders and others are pushing back against Netanyahu's criticism of the Iran nuclear deal. So and this is according to the Los Angeles Times, European leaders and other supporters of the landmark Iran nuclear deal pushed back Tuesday against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's announcement that he had documents proving Tehran lied about its attempts to build an atomic bomb. Officials in France, Germany, and Britain said their governments concluded long ago that Iran's nuclear program was not solely for peaceful uses, which is the reason for negotiating a landmark 2015 deal in the first place. Although they said they would need to study the documents obtained by Israel, and they said Netanyahu had not presented any evidence that Iran was in breach of its obligation. And he admitted that the documents show that they were lying up to 2015 when this agreement was signed. But he drew the conclusion that if the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior,
Yeah.
and if they were lying up to the agreement, then they're certainly lying. Certainly lying now. And the documents that they obtained were all archived documents,
Yes.
and the others apparently are not available in the same place, which makes sense.
Well, and I think the other thing too is that you can't, and I apologize, but my thought just derailed here.
Woo woo.
Yeah, right. Woo! It's early, people. You can't rely on Iran to continue to play fair, right? I mean, we don't have any oversight, and this I think is really the big thing. Unlike when we were trying to make our deals with Russia during the Reagan era, trust but verify. We really don't have the nice verification pieces that we need with teeth in them to make sure that we get to see what we need to see and do what we need to do. And so it's really a sort of, we trust you until we see otherwise.
Trust but verify. That was another
Yeah.
Reagan thing.
Yeah.
So the International Atomic Energy Agency, which monitors Iran's compliance, reiterated Tuesday that it had no credible indications of activities in Iran relevant to the development of a nuclear explosive device after 2009. Associates of the prime minister rushed to his defense, however, saying the recovery of some 100,000 Iranian documents, of course it was 550,000, detailing a nuclear weapons program known as Project Ahmad, was indeed an evidence of a breach. So it's time for a break, but we will continue to follow this story because certainly it's a big one. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we will be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292 FQ Riverside, and K293 CF Moreno Valley.
NBC News Radio. I'm Lisa Carter. Special counsel Robert Mueller reportedly has warned President Trump's lawyers he might subpoena Trump if the president doesn't agree to talk to investigators. That's according to a report in the Washington Post.
The president's former lead attorney, John Dowd, isn't denying a new report that special counsel Robert Mueller broached the idea of subpoenaing President Trump at a meeting he attended about 2 months ago, all raising the stakes as the president's new legal team determines its next move.
NBC's Kristen Welker at the White House. And the White House says President Trump's bodyguard and attorney did not raid the office of his longtime private doctor. Dr. Harold Bornstein tells NBC News they came to collect the president's medical information last February without proper authorization. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says it's standard procedure for the White House medical unit to take possession of a new president's medical records and not accurate to characterize it as a raid. Lisa Carter, NBC News Radio.
It's time for traffic on KCAA. I'm Erin Brinker. There's a SIG alert in... here it is. Sorry, the board just refreshed. In Colton, there's a SIG alert on the 10 eastbound before 9th Street. An injury crash and oil spill is blocking the 2 left lanes. There's stop-and-go traffic backed up from Pepper Avenue. The 10 west is slow in pockets out of Colton and stays busy all the way to the 71. Caltrans is aiding in the cleanup of a fair amount of oil lost in the 2 left lanes. In Moreno Valley on the 60 eastbound after Gilman Springs Road, an accident has the left lane blocked. There's stop-and-go traffic from Theodore Street. Also in Moreno Valley on the 215 northbound before Eastridge, an accident there has been cleared, and there's some stop-and-go traffic from Cactus Avenue. Traffic stays busy up past University Avenue. The 60 west is heavy from Heacock to the 215. In Ontario on the 10 westbound at the 15, a crash has been moved to the right shoulder. In Hesperia on the 15 southbound between the 395, that's Joshua Street, and Cleghorn Road. That's slow traffic there. In Colton on the 215 southbound at the 10, a wreck is now along the right shoulder of the 215 southbound transition to the 10 east. This has been your traffic on KCAA. We are the stations that leave no listener behind. I'm Erin Brinker.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Alvin Washington. Chance of showers and thunderstorms this morning. Look for a high of 61. Thunderstorms continue into tonight, low 49. Another set of thunderstorms Wednesday, the daytime high 64. Could see fog and clouds Wednesday night. I'm Alvin Washington, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California. KCAA 102.3 FM Riverside, 106.5 FM Redlands, and the Legacy 1050 AM Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
Did you know that 80 to 85% of children's brains are developed by the time they are 3 years old? The San Bernardino City Unified School District is sponsoring free parenting education classes for families of children ages 0 to 36 months. Classes include free childcare, a light meal, children's books to take home, and weekly giveaways. Graduates earn a certificate of completion. For more information, please visit www.infanttoddlersuccess.org or call 909-347-7313.
Hands can do incredible things. They made every sound in this piece of music. But nothing compares to using them to help save a life. If an adult suddenly collapses, call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of their chest until help arrives. It's called hands-only CPR, and it's recommended by the American Heart Association. Visit handsonlycpr.org today. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
KCAA, where every day is a great day.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5 and FM 102.3. So excited to welcome back to the show. We have Twinkle.
Good morning.
Good morning. So I don't know if you know, I think maybe we've talked about it before, but there's a legend surrounding the National Orange Show Fairgrounds.
Yes, you guys told that to me last year, and that was so fascinating to me.
And what is it doing right now? It is raining.
It's raining.
So, yeah,
I literally looked on my app this morning when I got up, and I was like, wait, it says on my app, it says there's no rain, like where I'm at. I'm like, how is that even possible? But it is supposed to be like 85 and 90 degrees this weekend.
It is. It is. And so I want to give a family 4-pack of tickets away today, and then we'll give another family 4-pack away on Friday when people have the Orange Show on their minds.
Oh, good. That makes me happy.
Because it's raining. It's actually interesting because they have moved. It's been in March, right, Tobin? It's been in April, and it's been in May, and it doesn't matter where they move it. It always rains.
It always rains. It's like this weirdest thing. Oh, my God. Because I remember one year I did it on Memorial Weekend, and then last year it rained for 2, and it was like not even just like a sprinkle. It was a downpour, and they had to like move us inside like the covered area. So,
crazy, right?
Oh, too funny.
So I want it while you're on the air. We do have a winner, Bobby Albano or Bobby Albano. I'm not quite sure. I've known her for years, and I don't know why I am pronouncing her name wrong. Bobby Albano, she has won one of the family 4-packs of tickets to the National Orange Show. So yay!
Bobby, you're gonna have so much fun. So much fun.
So for people who are interested in being in a drawing for the tickets, and we'll continue to add to the name. So anybody who entered besides Bobby up till now, you will stay in the drawing. We're just going to do it on Friday. All you need to do is go to our to facebook.com/KCAA Morning Show and send us a message. You can message us on the website, on the Facebook page, and tell us why you want the tickets. So just all you have to do, and we will do the drawing on Friday morning here on this show. So Twinkle, are you excited about playing?
I'm actually very excited. So our first show today is at 5 on the main stage, and then we're doing like a meet and greet in the kids zone area at 7:30.
Oh, have fun! So people can meet you.
What was that?
So the kids can come meet you.
Yes, I thought that was so cute.
That's
so
perfect.
They're going to be doing that kind of thing for the rest of the performers that are going to be there, and there's like a really great lineup. So everybody check out their website and check their Facebook page, and also check my stuff because I'll be posting like every single day, like our times and all that good stuff. So, but I'm very excited. Today's opening day, so if you guys don't worry about the rain. It's still fun to come to the fair when it's raining.
It's not torrential out there, guys.
No,
it's just a little water.
And the rain's supposed to die out this morning. So by the time you perform this evening, you watch, it's going to be perfect.
Oh, good. That's why it's supposed to rain. To clear the gray skies and to make it beautiful.
Exactly, right. And it'll smell good because it'll just be perfect. So
yes.
So Twinkle, thank you so much for joining us again today, and we'll be sure to let you know who won the tickets on Friday.
Please do, and congratulations to Bobby. Yay!
Yay! All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So there is a new development. California's top court makes it even more difficult for employers to classify workers as independent contractors. So basically, the state wants their money.
Yeah, and they're trying to go after Uber and Lyft and these other, what do you call it, the gig economy, right?
Yes.
These new businesses.
So in a ruling that could change the workplace status of people across the state, the California Supreme Court is making it harder for employers to classify their workers as independent contractors. The unanimous decision has implications for the growing gig economy, like Tobin said, as such as Uber, Lyft, and other app-driven services, but it could extend to nearly every employment sector. In recent years, the hiring of workers as independent contractors, and that means they're not subject to government rules on minimum wage, overtime, and rest breaks, has exploded. A 2016 study by economists at Harvard and Princeton universities estimated 12.5 million people were considered independent contractors, and that's actually 8.4% of the entire U.S. workforce. That's not an insignificant number.
Yeah.
The ruling is likely to lead many employers in California to immediately question whether they should reclassify independent contractors rather than face stiff fines for misclassification, and this is according to employment lawyers. workers. So a huge number of businesses will be calling their lawyers saying, what should I do? And that said that Michael Chazalo, a professor at USC Gould School of Law, to classify someone as an independent contractor, the court said, the business must show that the worker is free from control and direction of the employer, performs work that is outside the hirer's core business, and customarily engages in an independently established trade, occupation, or business.
Wow.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
So when a worker has not independently decided to engage in an independently established business, but instead is simply designated as an independent contractor, there's a substantial risk that the hiring business is attempting to evade the demands of an applicable wage order through misclassification. And that's according to Chief Justice Tani Cantil I don't know how you pronounce her last name, wrote the court. The worker may be denied the status of employee only if the worker is the type of traditional independent contractor, such as an independent plumber or electrician, who would not reasonably have been viewed as working for the hiring business. Instead, an independent contractor would be understood to be working in his or her own independent business. So, what they're saying, let's just say, because they use Uber and Lyft, let's just say you're a Lyft driver. Sorry, had to sneeze. Just to say you're a Lyft driver, and you only drive for Lyft, and you haven't incorporated a business, you haven't created, even as a sole proprietor, you haven't bought a business license, you haven't bought insurance, you haven't, all of those things. Yeah. Then you could be what they're saying is that Lyft is probably misclassifying you. Yeah. If however you're doing that and you've bought the business license, you have a business name, even if it's Joe Bob's Car Service, you have insurance for yourself. You're operating as if you're an independent business, especially if you form a business. Yeah. If you're Joe Bob Inc., then it's okay, or Joe Bob LLC. But otherwise, they're cracking down. So, I have independent contractors that I think today are getting a phone call.
Yeah. It's fascinating to me because essentially what it's doing is it's going to add a whole set of costs and regulations onto people who were essentially operating, I'll call it in the shadows, but we're operating in a much more freewheeling fashion. And it's like you said, now they're going to have to go and get that business license. They're going to have to get their own independent insurance. They're going to have to, maybe make some changes to their work agreements so that the person who's been contracting them has less control over their work day and their work time. Right. Essentially,
apart from saying you agree upon a time together to report, and your typical plumber. Let's use a plumber as an example. We'll say, all right, I'll be there between noon and 4. Yeah. And then they come in, they do the specific work, you write them a check, and they leave. Yeah. But if you're saying no, you have to come here and report to this desk from 4 to 6 every day, that person should not. They do not meet the qualifications to be an independent contractor. Yeah. So the court offered an example: a plumber temporarily hired by a store to repair a leak or an electrician to install a line would be an independent contractor. But a seamstress who works at home to make dresses for a clothing manufacturer from cloth and patterns supplied by the company, or a cake decorator who works on a regular basis on custom designed cakes would be employees. The ruling came as a class action lawsuit against Dynamex Operations West, Inc., a package and document delivery company that has counted Amazon.com among its clients. The suit charged that Dynamex misclassified its delivery drivers as independent contractors rather than employers. A lawyer for Dynamex referred questions to a company spokesman. That's not surprising. The ruling did not resolve that case, but defined independent contractors for lower courts that are grappling with the dispute. The court said wage and hour laws were adopted to enable people to earn a subsistence standard of living and to protect workers' health and safety. The laws also shield the public from having to assume financial responsibility for workers earning substandard wages or working in an unhealthy or unsafe conditions. According to the California Labor Commission's website, the misclassification of workers as independent contractors costs the state roughly $7 billion in lost payroll taxes each year. And do not be mistaken, all this living wage garbage, that's not what it's about. It's about the $7 billion in lost payroll taxes each year.
Exactly. The state wants their money. They want their money. And the reality is though they're not going to get the $7 billion, because what will happen is a certain portion of these people will just drop out of this. That they'll say, well, I can't can't pay for that license fee. I can't do,
Right. Or they'll just be paid in cash, in which case it'll be impossible to track.
Yeah, and they'll become like the modern version of the gypsy cab, right? So they're going to do this businesses, in a black market style, like you said, cash, whatever, under the table, which is in many ways going to make their life worse.
The thing about it that bothers me kind of fundamentally about this is that, the government coming in and saying, okay, company that's contracting person, you don't have the right to do that. Even though you're a private company and they're a private person, you don't have the right to contract with them to do that job.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that.
They weren't forced into the deal.
Right.
They made an agreement, and supposedly it would be both sides, were comfortable with it.
Well, and if you weren't, you just walk away.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially in this job market where we have, 4% unemployment?
Yeah.
I mean, people who want to be working are working right now.
Yeah.
And so I personally love the gig economy.
Yeah.
I like being an independent contractor. I like controlling my destiny, so to speak.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like being an employee, but it's nice to have some control over my schedule, and it puts you on different footing with your clients as opposed to different employees, and as an employee. So I think also you might see people developing guilds, or so you're a member of this guild or this group. I called it a guild because it's lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Where the guild then gets paid. So essentially, you're creating a staffing agency.
Yeah.
So you might see that happening.
That would be fascinating.
It would be fascinating.
People always look for ways around these kinds of regulations because they're onerous.
They are. Well, and especially workers' compensation insurance is really expensive.
Yep.
It is bloody expensive, and so people don't want to have to pay for that. If you get hurt on the job, that company is in for a lot of money, and depending on what kind of how you got hurt, a lot of time. So paying for you and paying for those medical expenses, et cetera, et cetera. So with that, it's time for a break. I'm Erin Breaker.
And I'm Tobin Breaker.
We'll be right back.
Hasbro acquires Power Rangers for a $500 million price tag. This is your entertainment wrap-up for NBC News Radio. I'm Andrew Caravella. Go Hasbro. According to the Wall Street Journal, Hasbro Inc. is buying Power Rangers and other entertainment brands in a cash and stock deal valued at roughly $500 million, adding the popular television-based toy brand to its portfolio. Saban brand's chief and Power Rangers creator Saban will serve in a consultant role going forward, and Hasbro said the first set of new products will be available in spring 2019. According to Deadline, under terms of the purchase agreement, Hasbro will pay an additional $229.75 million in cash and will issue $270 million worth of Hasbro common stock for the acquired brands, which includes all related intellectual property, category rights, and content libraries owned by Saban Properties and its affiliates. The deal is expected to close during the second quarter. To recap, Saban created and launched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in 1993, and it is now among television's longest-running kids live-action series with almost 900 episodes to date. On the film side, Lionsgate bowed the latest incarnation of Power Rangers in March 2017. It grossed $85.4 million in domestic and $142.3 million worldwide. Now in other news, The Rock cast his WWE pal John Cena in the lead of his next movie. Access Hollywood is reporting that Cena will play the lead role in the next film he's producing, The Jansen Directive, a film from author Robert Ludlum, who also wrote the Bourne series. Cena will play Paul Jansen, an ex-Navy SEAL drawn into an international conspiracy. And that's your entertainment wrap-up, Inland Empire. For KCAA Radio and NBC News Radio, I'm Andrew Caravella.
This segment of programming sponsored by Cybertime Network Communications. How's your internet? Feeling boxed in with the high costs of the internet? Ready for a better internet service? Then you're ready for Cybertime. Yes, there's an alternative to those big corporate internet service providers. It's Cybertime Network Communications. Cybertime is so good, they provide all the connectivity for this radio station. Crisp, cool, fast, and sleek. Cybertime uses the latest leading-edge microwave technology. No wires, no cables, no sharing, and they're able to offer clients a safe, reliable, public or private network that fits almost any budget size. And several cities rely on Cybertime's microwave private network for their most critical mission applications. Get connected. Stay connected. Get smart. Get Cybertime. You can Google, text, or call Cybertime Network Communications at 909-795-9559. That's 909-795-9559.
What if I told you you'd never have to make a house payment again? What if you could pay off much-needed home repairs and even create an income stream based on the value of your home? If you're 62 years old or older, you could be eligible for a reverse mortgage. Call Tim Harrison and find out if a reverse mortgage is right for you. Call Tim at 800-566-2475. That's 800-566-2475. Tim Harrison, branch manager, NMLS number 170960. Broadview Mortgage Corporation is licensed by the Department of Business Oversight under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. License number 170952. Registered with the Nationwide Mortgage Licensing System and registry number 813B544. Broadview Mortgage, equal housing lender. Remember, if you never want to make a house payment again, except for property taxes, maintenance, and insurance, that's 800-566-2475. That's 800-566-2475.
KCAA.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the... Boy, you say that loud.
Do I?
You do. Like, your normal voice is... Because I'm watching the levels, your normal voice is a lot softer than when you say, and I'm Tobin Brinker.
It's because I love hearing that name.
Oh, God. Somebody's going to believe you when you say that. So we have to give an update on this Golden State Killer, East Area rapist, original Night Stalker. This guy was really freaking scary. So they have there's in the LA Times, it's an LA Times article. They show a picture of the sketch of him that was, from one of the victims who survived. Hang on. Sorry, I'm very sneezy this morning. From one of the victims who survived, there's a sketch of him, and then it's side by side with a picture of him, and it's got this mustache, in his police uniform from one of the departments that he was with. It was the Auburn Police Department, and they're identical. I mean, it's so obviously him. The
eyes.
Yeah, it's the eyes. In the mid-1970s, the police department in the Central Valley farm town of Exeter was small, with fewer than 10 officers patrolling what was a population of about 5,000. One officer was Joseph D'Angelo, who arrived in 1973. He worked there for 3 years and was known for his professionalism and ambition in the field and his aloof, cool nature to his colleagues. And I would have to imagine that in a job where people have to know each other well and trust each other. Yeah. For somebody to be aloof has got to be unnerving, because you don't know what this guy really thinks, right?
Yeah, and again, it's like often it occurs when they catch these guys who worked with him are like, yeah, he was a little odd, but they were completely floored, right? That they couldn't believe. Right, and then the guy said, I couldn't believe it. I was devastated. At first, I thought it was someone with the same name. I can't believe it's the same guy. I worked side by side with the guy. And then he goes, I could have been one of his victims really easily, Yeah. Because he was just, to be that cold-blooded in the crimes that he's committing, and then be able to go to work the next day and just sort of be
especially
yourself.
As a cop.
Right.
I mean, he wasn't a manual tradesman, so to speak. He wasn't, if somebody who picks up like day labor, it wouldn't necessarily surprise you. Yeah. But somebody who puts on a uniform to protect the public every day, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now, they talk about how his police training helped him to evade these captures. And the one time that they came the closest was in 1975. He was trying to kidnap the daughter of Claude Snelling, who was a local journalism professor. And Snelling interrupted the abduction and was fatally shot by the assailant, but he escaped without the girl, right? Well, the police a week later thought that he might try to return, and so they had sort of staked out the neighborhood. And they actually had him cornered in a resident's backyard. And as an officer trained his flashlight on him, he shot it out and then hopped a fence and escaped. He disappeared, and they swarmed the area.
He shotted? What does that mean?
He shot.
Oh.
He shot the flashlight out of the guy's hand.
Oh, with a gun.
With a gun.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
And then hopped a fence and escaped. And they swarmed the area with dogs, right, to try to find him, and they couldn't find him. He just sort of disappeared into thin air. And soon after that is when he actually was fired from the Auburn Police Department a couple years later.
But that was for shoplifting.
Shoplifting. But what was he shoplifting? Dog repellent and a hammer.
Wow.
Right? And so he knew that they might bring dogs in, and so he was looking for stuff. You know, I mean, it all makes sense now, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Now, there's a discussion going on because he was found through searching DNA databases of family members, to find the connection, to find him. People are saying, well, what about privacy and all of that? Well, look, if there's a serial killer and serial rapist in my family, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Go search through it. That's fine. I think what they're saying is, oh, yes, but what if they're looking, down the line, if they're looking for a political prisoner or they're looking for, a political, somebody's on the lam for political reasons, or some other thing that they want to pin on you. Okay, well, you can what if yourself to death. They found a mass rapist and murderer.
So welcome to the brave new world, right, of how we do these things. As they're collecting more and more DNA that's going into these databases, and people are giving it over voluntarily, the police are going to use that tool. We carry an electronic leash with us, pretty much everywhere we go with our cell phones.
We do.
And so they can ping that and find you, we've got smart watches and all kinds of technology and various things that we have and do that just make it so much easier for people to find us.
So it's interesting with this guy is they've been able to find where he was, because they're still doing a lot of that research.
Yeah.
Where he lived at any given time, and he was active. He was the Visalia, allegedly was the Visalia ransacker, the original Night Stalker, the East Area rapist, the Golden State Killer, and 5 counties were involved.
Yeah, he moved around.
He moved around.
Yeah.
I'm glad they got him.
So for me, one of the pieces of this kind of story that always puzzles me is the wife. He was married throughout all this time, right? And I've got to wonder what kind of relationship he had with his wife and what she knew or didn't know. And
I can't imagine that she knew. I hope that she didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Did she just think that he was, going out at night and playing around with other women, and she was just that woman who stuck with her man even though... because he obviously, a lot of this stuff's happening in the middle of the night. What stories is he giving her, and how does she buy it for all those years? I'd be fascinated to find out the psychology of that.
Well, some women will stand by a man who's doing anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That information will come out, and it's horrifying if she knew.
Did he beat her? Was she being abused and staying in a relationship because of fear? I mean, it's fascinating. The whole thing is fascinating to me.
So we are completely out of time, and we will continue to watch the story for you. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
Have a great day, everybody.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
I'm Chuck Kamlick, CNBC. More people found work than expected. Apple sold more iPhones than expected, but Dow futures are down anyway, about 30 points. Investors are still worried about trade, and there's a Fed rate decision due later today. No rate hike is expected. ADP says 204,000 jobs were added last month because more teachers and nurses were hired. Mortgage applications for a home loan fell last week because interest rates rose to a 5-year high. Amazon is adding more perks for Prime members at Whole Foods. That includes bigger discounts, free delivery, and a cashback reward for using Amazon's Visa card. Sears and Kmart starting an online version of their Lease It program. It's for people who can't get credit or use layaway. They can simply lease an item they need. And now that girls are allowed in the Boy Scouts, they're going to change that group's name. Starting next year, it becomes Scouts BSA, a more inclusive version. Chuck Kamlick, CNBC.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
Results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services. If you owe the IRS back taxes, payroll taxes, or have not filed your returns, the IRS will get you. They can take your property, take you to court, even put you in jail. With one call to Wall, you'll never need to talk to the IRS again. Our average client settles for about 10% of what is owed. We offer free face-to-face consultations in your local area. Call 800-727-0433. That's 800-727-0433.
NBC News Radio. I'm Lisa Carter.